Hey, how's it going? Hey, happy Saturday. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing, man? So, first of all, well, I have crazy hair today, but I'm gonna let it go. I've been letting my hair grow out, and it's crazy, and I'm just gonna keep letting it go. So, anyways, no hat today. I got it here just in case. But, man, how's everyone doing? Happy Saturday. Man, thanks, man. I like my hair. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm definitely not fishing for compliments. I know it's not the greatest, but I've been shaving my head for a long time, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna try growing it out again. So it's a little wild now because I took a shower just a little bit ago, and it just is whatever. But anyways, it's not about my hair. How's it going? Happy Saturday. Man, first of all, sorry I didn't make it last Saturday. I was feeling a little bit, feeling a little down. Just I guess under the weather, and had a lot of catching up to do. It's a lot. I feel like, well, I enjoy it, but I feel like, YouTube and social and content is like my second full-time job. So it's a ton of stuff. But my first full-time job has to come first. So anyways, that aside, I apologize. I wasn't here last week. I'm here today. So how's everyone doing? What are you guys working on? What can I help with? Those are usually the things I ask. So if you're new here, it's kind of how it goes. It's just kind of open forum. We talk about a lot of stuff. You guys share projects that you're working on. I share a little bit of projects that I'm working on, and we just kind of go from there. I know that I have a ton of videos on tutorials, and a lot of people have questions, and so I kind of reserve this time as a way for you guys to, one, connect with me, and two, connect with each other, and three, ask questions if you have them. They don't even have to be questions. You can share things you're working on. That's totally fine too. People do. Because I know, and I say this a lot, that for a long time in my life, I had no one to share this stuff with. Now I do, because I found other people who do similar things to me as me. So anyways, hope you're doing well. I usually start with the weather. The weather here, it's actually kind of nice. This is like my ideal day in Minnesota. It's like upper 50s and cloudy. It's like perfect. It's like my ideal day. But yeah, no rain, just nice, dry, cool, and overcast. It's like perfect. Mowed the lawn, did everything today. Didn't even break a sweat. I mean, I was moving around, but just didn't break a sweat. This is kind of how I like it. But anyways, man, what are you guys working on? What can I help with? And what questions do you have? Just throw them in chat, and I'll definitely get to them. I got to scroll up though too. So real quick though, first, like as I was going live, PC Geek, dude, thank you so much. Resub. Tier 1, 8 months, dude, 8 months, almost a year. It's so crazy how time flies, man. Dude, thank you so much for the continued support and all that you do, man. Really appreciate it. Hey, Tim, what's up? Hard to believe it's been 8 months. Keep up the great work, man. Thank you. Thanks, dude, man. Yeah, dude, man. If you saw my last video, I talked a little bit about dude and man, because I say it a lot. So call me out if I say it, all right? Dudes and man. But then P. Diddy, oh, well, another one, cool. I'll get there. Dude, thank you so much for the sub. I'll get there real quick. P. Diddy, dude, how are you doing, man? Haven't seen you in a while. Resub, tier 1, 9 months. It's been a while. Yeah, man, how are you? How's it going? Hope everything's well. I see your status in Discord all the time, so it's not like I don't see you, but yeah, hope you're doing well. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for the continued support, and welcome back. How are you? And then Coakley Grande, I'm gonna go with that. Subscribe tier or Prime sub, dude. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. And then real quick before I started, there were a couple follows. Well, one was during Expectio. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Going backwards. Bank Ole Gondero. I'm making this up. I'm not making the name up. I'm making up the pronunciation. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. And then Mobile Pate. I'm going with that. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. So yeah, what are you guys working on? You guys have probably seen what I've been working on. I've been doing a lot of reverse proxy stuff lately. I think I have most of my reverse proxy stuff done. My internal stuff, my external stuff has been done for a while. Hey, Ilud, dude, Ilud, how's it going, man? Speaking of Ilud, how you doing, man? Tier 1, 8 months, dude, 8 months, both of you guys, same time. Hype train, yes. That's so awesome. Dude, thank you so much. Man, Takano, dude, thank you so much. But Ilu, dude, 8 months already. You and PC Geek, thank you guys so much. Not only for continued support for everything you do in the channel and in the Discord server too, for sure. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Takano, how are you, man? Dude, how are you? Already 11 months. Isn't that crazy? Takano, dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. How are you? Hopefully you have your arcade going at home. Hopefully you got your coin slots hooked up, and hopefully you're saving some money or making some money, however you look at it. But man, how are you? Thank you. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, I've just been working a ton on a lot of like maintenance stuff and fixing up things. You didn't see my social posts. I had like, well, Janorian, dude, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Oh my gosh, you guys. Dude, thank you so much. Oh man. Janorian, dude, thanks for the resub. Prime 7 months. Dude, thank you. Janorian, how are you? Jen Orion. I say Janorian for some weird reason, but it's Jen Orion. So thank you. Thank you so much, dude. How are you? Dude, Past has subbed. Prime sub, thank you so much. Dude, P. Diddy, oh my God. I didn't even see the number. I saw gifted. Dude, P. Diddy, 10 gifted subs. Dude, thank you so much, man. You really didn't have to. Oh man, dude, P. Diddy, how are you, dude? Thank you so much. P. Diddy gifted 10 gifted subs to Vasi Sashchansky. I'm going with that. Sashchansky, Tinkerfu, the Nexus 7, Alex Gala. Oh, my lights are going crazy. Algax, Radisson, Hawksfam, Frank's Towing, and SF Junkie, and ISO. How are you? ISO 303. How's it going, man? Dude, thanks to P. Diddy for your gifted subs. So, dude, thank you so much. And Ta Rusty Turtle. Dude, thanks for the bits. Appreciate it. Wow. That was the exciting intro. Thank you so much, dude. Appreciate it, you guys. Really means a ton. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I always say, like, I say this at the end, but I'll say it now, like, just being here and spending time is more than I could ever ask for, more than I ever expected. Is having more than one person in my channel that wasn't myself is a blessing to me. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Where was I? Oh yeah, so I've just been doing a ton of tech stuff, like we're all doing. I've been working through my reverse proxy stuff. I've been working through some of my new Pi-hole stuff, a lot of local DNS. Then I had a couple of drives die this week or this past week. And TrueNAS, they didn't totally die. I'm still figuring this out, but TrueNAS threw a fault on 2 disks during one scrub. And so I was 1 disk away from losing the data in that pool. I obviously have that pool backed up somewhere else and then in the cloud, but it would have been painful. Luckily, my pool stayed in there, hung in there, and I was able to get replacement drives in time. But man, a lesson I think I learned from this is have at least one spare. Have at least one cold spare. It doesn't even have to be in the drive bay. Hot spare would be nice, but cold spare would be even better for me, but it just gets kind of expensive to just have one drive just in case. Maybe I should. Is it worth the cost? You know, however much the drive is, $150, $60. Is that worth the pain of trying to rebuild my pool? If I lost another disc, I would definitely probably pay the $150 to not spend 4 or 5 hours restoring everything and getting everything back going. So, anyways, lesson learned for me. I should probably buy another drive and have a cold spare somewhere, but I probably won't just because I don't want to spend the money. But let me know. It's probably, if this were an enterprise, I totally would. Or if they were used drives and I could get them decently priced on eBay, I definitely would. But I bought all new. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. I thought, well, I'm going to do this legit, and maybe I should have just bought a whole bunch of used drives. Anyways, enough about me. Let's see in the channel. Oh, Hype Train is in the way. Yeah, I think it is. Oh yeah, this is so new to me. I'm not used to seeing this right here. I don't know what I'm expanding, but I see. Level 5 emotes. Gotcha. Anyways, I'm getting lost. This is why I don't open web pages and stuff when I talk. So I'll totally get lost, like inspecting everything. So anyways, the question you guys usually want to know is who's first. PC Geek was here first. As soon as I was testing my bot to make sure it was up, he right away subbed. So dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it. PC Geek 8-month sub. Yeah, thank you. Odd West first. You were close. PC Geek, as he said. He was there. He was ready. He saw when I was testing my bot and he subbed right away. So I appreciate it. But Odd West, really close. Mafni, it's always DNS. Stream is lagging bad for me, Rip. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Don't know if I have encoding options. Hopefully I do. Twitch gives them to me sometimes. Sometimes they don't. So not sure. On West. Yeah, man. PC Geek, it's always DNS. It is. It is always DNS, isn't it? Battle Kafer. Finally, I got to attend a live stream. Hey, thanks. Yeah, welcome to the stream. Hopefully you enjoy yourself. Hopefully you learn some stuff. There's a lot of people in here who know a lot of stuff. We just chit chat about tech. It's kind of open forum. Pretzels, that's what I'm going with. Pretzels TX, Pretzels Texas, that's what I'm going to say. First time checking on stream. Hey, welcome to you too. Wow, a lot of new people in the channel. I appreciate it. Welcome. Rodison, how do all first time here? Oh yeah, for another first timer. Talias, how's it going? Good, man, a lot of first timers. PC Geek, not a whole lot. Getting ready to have a yard sale soon. Nice, man. Yeah, I like yard sales. I totally enjoy. I enjoy having them, and I enjoy going to them. In the Rock, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. How you doing? Yeah, I don't know. I love yard sales. I just like looking at other people's stuff. And what they're selling, and there's usually so much nostalgia, or hey, I remember that thing, or I've seen this before. I've never seen this before. I don't know. I really enjoy it. P. Diddy, been looking at getting my lab quieter, more power efficient, looking at maybe a Pi cluster. Hey, yeah, I've been there. I've been there. I did a step down. I kind of did a step down and broke my one big server into two more efficient servers. And then, I question myself all the time, like, could I run a lot of my workloads on a Pi or a cluster of Pis? Some of them I can. Some of them it'd be no problem. Like a lot of the custom code that I host, yeah, no problem. No problem at all, because they're usually just web APIs or websites, very light traffic, lightweight. But then there are a few workloads where I can't. And that's where I think, a Pi is a Raspberry Pi. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome and not so awesome at the same time, depending on your workload. So don't get me wrong. Don't take this the wrong way. Like Raspberry Pis are awesome, like hands down. But it really depends on what you're going to run on them, and if you have a workload, I'm just going to throw Plex out there. Plex is super taxing. Like you would never be able to get away with running Plex on a Raspberry Pi. I think P. Diddy, if you just, kind of look at your workloads to see what you want to run on some of those, whether they be, whether it's a bare metal install, or if you're going to containerize something, or even run Kubernetes or whatever, you'll have to look at each one of those and kind of just monitor, how much CPU, how much RAM, and then how much reading and writing to disks it's doing. That's another thing too that a lot of people don't maybe consider is how much RAM to get in your Pi. The last Pi I bought the 8 gig model because I was going to run Kubernetes on it, and I'm glad I did, because yeah, Kubernetes uses some RAM. There's some overhead with it. But at the same time, a lot of my workloads, I throw 3, 4, 5 workloads on there. They all, 100, 200 megs of RAM. It all adds up. And then, if you're going to run Kubernetes, you almost want a little bit more RAM than 4 gigs. That's kind of tough to get by in there. I know the minimum requirements are pretty low. But yeah, so many considerations. And I'll throw one more in there too, because if you are considering it, you might want to consider, I don't know if you're going to run Kubernetes or K3S or what you're going to run. But if you do run K3S, another consideration is also going to be for your master nodes or your server nodes. Are they going to be etcd or not? And so for me, I always thought like etcd is the perfect use case for a Raspberry Pi. Like it sounds fantastic. Like I don't want an external database. I want these to be on the edge or wherever I live, wherever they want to live. And as long as they can communicate with all your other servers, I thought that was great. But what I didn't realize is that, etcd does a lot of read-write, a lot of I/O to disk, which doesn't work out so well if you're using microSD. So you're going to have to consider that too. But we can talk more. I'm asking like you asked the question. I'm just throwing it all out there, and you're probably like, why did I even say that? And I'm even more confused than I was before. Hopefully not. But yeah, tons of considerations. I've been there. I think a lot of people are there. We all want powerful machines. We want machines that are just powerful enough, and machines that are just loud enough, and that are just warm enough. Don't give off a lot of heat. And it's a tough balance. It's a tough balance. It's especially when you go from something like x86 or x64 CPUs, you get so much power, and then going down to Raspberry Pi, you get so little power to work with. But it'll work. I say throw a few things on there and check it out. PC Geek, praying for my interview Monday goes well too. Yeah, man, you got this. You got this, man. Dude, you totally get it. You got it. We're all rooting for you, man. Matt Water, hi, first time here. Been following Proxmox and Kubernetes. All right, that's right up my alley. I think that I've done a couple things with those. Awesome, yeah. Those are two of my favorite infrastructure, I guess, products or platforms to build on top of right now. It's super fun. It's super fun. Pretzels. I'm going with pretzels, so I don't have to say the Texas or guess what the TX is at the end. So it could be sticks, pretzel sticks. Anyways, good luck with the interview. Yeah. PC Geek, we're all rooting for you, man. Hey, Goofball Guinness, and I think I said In the Rock, if not, and Impact. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Yeah, we're all rooting for you, man. You got this. Cyber Sandwich, Tim. Hi, Cyber Sandwich. How's it going? Monkeys. Meow. Yeah. So what's going on with you guys? The Freak work. Yeah. I apologize. Stinks you got to work on the weekend, and yeah, it's the weekend for most of the world right now. All the world. It's at least Saturday and Sunday, I think. So apologize you have to work. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Hopefully it goes by a little bit quicker listening to me. Cyber Sandwich, mulching my yard. All right, I didn't do that yet. Mine's coming up. I saved that for Memorial Day weekend. Usually save it. But then setting up Ansible for all my servers. Awesome. Yeah, awesome. It's super fun. I have Ansible for most of all my servers, I guess I should say, that are Linux, not Windows. And then I have roles and tasks for all of the things I do, minus like a handful of things that I rarely do. I just didn't want to put the time in scripting stuff. It's super fun. And I think I owe you guys and owe a lot of people an AWX tutorial at some time. I just have to get it in place and use it. So if you're not familiar with AWX, it's like a web hosted version of Ansible. It's something that I think Tower, the parent product or the child products, pulls its code from, but it basically gives you Ansible on the web. Why is that interesting? Well, one, I don't have to use, I don't have to use a shell to get into it all the time, although it's nice. I don't have to use a shell to get into it all the time. I can access any of my playbooks or run tasks or whatever they're called, playbooks, from the web and execute them there too. The other nice part is that you can schedule them. So anyways, once you get that going, hold on to your all your artifacts for your playbooks and your hosts and your roles, because maybe I'll have something for AWX coming soon. PC Geek, this is booming on my Logitech surround speakers. Oh, I'll try to be quiet. No, I talk loud. My wife's always like, "Why are you so loud?" I'm like, I don't know. I am. Like your hair. It's kind of crazy. I'll step back so it looks a little bit better. It's kind of wild, but I was like, I'm not putting on a hat because once I put on a hat, I can't go back, for me at least, because my hair is so crazy. PC Geek, had these speakers since 2005 and they're still rocking out. I know, man. I'm a huge fan of older speakers in general. Same with tuners. It's just like older ones like that. They just won't quit. They won't quit for sure. Cluted Null, dude, how's it going, man? Cluted Null has resub Prime 4 months. Oops, Prime sub labs. Hey, that's totally fine. Prime subs they're weird. You got to renew them. You got to refresh them. Amazon doesn't let you just auto sub for whatever reason. I get why they don't. But at the same time, it's kind of like, come on. It's just a button they have to flip to allow that. For some reason, they don't. They'll let you sub for money without turning it off, but not the one that comes with your Prime membership. They know what they're doing. Telias, working on K3S local HA cluster with HA Proxy, VM, Traefik, Prometheus, Grafana, Longhorn, Yugabyte, there's a new name. Drone CI/CD. Okay, the only one I don't understand in there, I've never heard of, is Yugabyte. Interesting. Okay, so HA Proxy, got that. VM, got that. Traefik, yeah. Oh, so doing some reverse proxy. Prometheus and Grafana for logging and monitoring. Longhorn for storage. Yugabyte for who knows what. And Drone for CI/CD. Awesome. Man, you have quite the cluster coming up. And quite the platform, because once you get that going, it's like, okay, hey, you could host or build or do whatever you want. I just moved some of my CI/CD back into Kubernetes. It was running Docker, it was running in the cloud, and then back to Docker, and now it's back in Kubernetes. It's so nice because now I'm just like, okay, yeah, scale to 3 and take on 10 build jobs. Ooh, and my servers, all the fans kick on if I push off, a whole bunch of build tasks at the same time for my code. But it's so awesome to be able to build local and not have to send that out to the cloud and wait because you're on some shared infrastructure. But yeah, awesome, man. Telias, you have quite the task coming up. Quite the task. Dude, Pregi, Reggie, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Prime sub. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Matt Water, enjoy the hair. You still have some, enjoy the hair while you still have some things. Yeah, I shouldn't even have brought it up. I didn't think I had any for years, and so I've been shaving it, and I was like, I guess there's still some up there. It's not the same, but yeah, I appreciate it. Talias, oh, yeah, for sure. Mavney, it's only about your hair. Yeah. Oh man. Geeky Rand, Matt Water, thumbs up for your baldness. LOL. Yeah. ISO, good evening, everyone. How's it going, ISO? ISO, how you doing? Cyber Sandwich, what's your first full-time job? Oh, man, Cyber Sandwich, what's my first full-time job? I was going to tell you my part-time job. Yeah, good question. Let me grab a drink. So my first full-time job was I did tech support for a hospital. Yeah, just out of college. I was just out of college. I was fortunate enough to get a job at this hospital. I had zero experience. I studied a couple of things in college that were semi-related, but didn't have any, full-time experience or any on-the-job experience in IT. So that was my first IT role. I did tech support, and I loved it. I look back on it, and I learned so much about technology, about infrastructure, about people, working in a corporation, in a medium-sized business. Learned a lot about healthcare. I just learned a ton. I was right out of college too, so it was great. So yeah, I did tech support, and I did everything there from pulling out printer jams to network configuration to toning out network cables and figuring out where they were terminated to or not terminated to software installation. Did some Active Directory stuff for a lot of our client stuff. I think they were kind of forward thinking back then. They were, they allowed a lot of their client services team kind of manage a lot of the clients, where then they had a server team manage the servers. So I was fortunate enough to do a lot of Active Directory stuff, group policy, locking down machines, unlocking machines, a ton of stuff, building software, SCCM, imaging, you name it. So those are all of the skills that I picked up doing tech support, and I love it. I look back on it and I'm like, man, it was like the perfect first job for me, because I could really totally geek out, like even more than I could at home. And that's where, as the story goes, that's where I got my first home lab PC, was one that the hospital was giving away. Well, they were going to recycle it. Back then, recycling was just probably thrown in the dumpster. I don't know. I'm not judging. Hey, real quick, Impact, dude, thanks for the Prime sub. Thank you so much. But yeah, I got this old Compact 3000, I think it was, and it was old back then, and it was old when I got it, and it was, but it was enough for me to be able to install Linux on and try out Linux and install Windows and install you name it, and give it a try. And so my first home lab PC was this PC that was already 10 years old when I got it. And but I look back at that fondly. So yeah, that was my first full-time job. And then from there, I've done a lot of stuff, a lot of infrastructure, some network stuff. Then got into software development, mobile development, and that's what I do now. Is I'm a software developer. But I still love infrastructure. This is why I have all of this. That's why I've had all of this over the years. And it's exactly why I have this channel and this. I'm building up a community of people who also like the same thing, because I love it. It's my hobby. Some people are fortunate enough to do it every day, but I think a lot of us are also feel fortunate enough that we can do it as a hobby. So yeah, first full-time job, tech support. I loved it. I can't say how thankful I am to have that as my first job, because I got pretty lucky to get that with like zero experience. Anyways, but yeah, thanks for asking. Craze, honey, web dev stream, or the tag is just for the algorithm? No, web dev. If you have web dev questions, fire away. That's what I do. I'm a software engineer, so a little of both. I mean, it's the tags, yeah. Sure, yes. So the tags, I don't know if they influence the algorithm, but they definitely help with filtering when people are searching. But that's what I am. I'm a web developer. I mean, that's what I do all day. But I do front end, back end. I do Kubernetes stuff too. I do mobile development too. So I work at a small startup now. So I'm not totally 100% dedicated to just web, but a lot of things everything we do is REST or web services, until we get into some Redis and Postgres stuff for our backend stuff. But yeah, for sure, go for it. HomeLab dude, gifted a sub to Spanx. Dude, HomeLab New, how are you doing, man? Dude, thanks for the gifted sub, Spanx. Thanks to HomeLab for the gifted sub. Appreciate it. How are you, man? Let's see. Geeky Rand, same in St. Louis. Oh, yeah. All right, you're not too far away, so about the same weather. You guys had some warm weather, I think, last week. It was like 80s or 90s or something. I was like, man, don't send that up here. I'm not ready for that yet. Not ready for that yet. But yeah, you guys have very similar weather. You're not too far away. Reggie, love the Traefik video. How do you find your external load balancer like MetalLB at home? Or do you use something else? How do you find an external? Yeah, so yeah, good question. So what does my infrastructure look like? And how do I use Traefik? I think I'll start more broadly. I use Traefik in, I'll say 3 ways, but really 2 that you can, I guess you can picture in your mind. One way that I use Traefik is 100% Docker, and it's my internal reverse proxy for my internal services. So those are the things I showed on the video. It's getting to Plex over HTTPS. It's getting to TrueNAS, the web UI over HTTPS. It's getting to Pi-hole. It's getting to Proxmox. It's getting to all these web services that I have that either have a self-signed certificate or no certificate at all. And I thought, well, here's a great way to do it within my trusted network and to get to those services through TLS. I say SSL. People gave me so much flack for saying SSL. I'm just like, whatever. It's an eponym at this point. It's like, do you say Kleenex or do you say facial tissue? I bet you say Kleenex, even when it's not. But anyways, so that's how I use it internally. And then I also have Traefik running in Kubernetes. And so for me personally, Kubernetes is where I host a lot of. It's not 100% public stuff, but it's a lot of custom code. There is some public stuff I have hosted in there, like APIs. Speaking of web development, some APIs in there. There's, I don't know, probably 6, 7 APIs in there. Websites, static websites, WordPress, you name it. But that's kind of in my DMZ, and so I had to decide, like, okay, if I'm gonna run Traefik there, I didn't want to have all my trusted network go to my untrusted network and then back to my trusted network to proxy through that version of Traefik. So you with me? So I have 2 versions of Traefik, one internal, one external. I call it external, but it's still internal to me. And that external one is in Kubernetes. And then I am using MetalLB to expose my Traefik. So if you're not familiar with MetalLB, you obviously are, Pudgy, because you mentioned it. But for those that aren't, MetalLB is a load balancer for Kubernetes, and it specifically helps you expose Kubernetes services externally through a load balancer. Hey, Hash Warden, thanks for the Prime sub, I appreciate it. And so, if that doesn't make sense to you, if you think about Kubernetes in the cloud, if you're in a cloud provider, like I'll just say a Google Cloud, GCP, if you're running Kubernetes there, they give you a load balancer, and that's how you expose your Kubernetes services through that load balancer to the public internet. And they give you a public IP. Well, internally, you don't have this big, super expensive, load balancer. And so MetalLB is a software version of that understands how to speak Kubernetes, for lack of a better term. So you can expose your Kubernetes services outside of that Kubernetes cluster. And so you're exactly right. That's exactly what I do. So I have Traefik. Traefik is exposed to MetalLB, and then MetalLB has an IP that it gets as if it were an external IP, but really it's another internal IP in that subnet or that VLAN, and then I expose just that IP to the internet. So it acts almost just like a cloud load balancer from AWS or for Google Cloud or Azure, but it's for Kubernetes that you're running. They call it bare metal, but let's just say not in the cloud, not in a hosted cloud provider's cloud, in your own cloud. Anyways, that's a lot, and so I hope you understand it. I use the Docker version and the Kubernetes version, and I use them for 2 very different, same roles, but for different areas of my network. Just because I didn't want network traffic hopping back and forth just to proxy through stuff. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, good question. Let's see, Cyber Sandwich. Do you have a specific Ansible user for all of my servers? Yeah, no, I shouldn't I? Um, am I getting socially hacked right now? No, no. Do I have one? I use an account that has a little more access than it should. Is it the only account I use on all those servers? No. So I have multiple accounts on those servers, but I do kind of have like a operations type role that has access to a couple of operational type things. I don't mean to be so vague, but it's not, you know, it's not root, and it's not my other admin account. It's a, you know, operations account. And so that account has access to all of my servers that Ansible needs to do stuff with. So yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be so vague, but it's just an account that has access to do quite a few stuff, because it needs root. It needs to be able to elevate itself to do some stuff, even simple things like updates. But it's not my root account, so yeah. So but it is. I don't want to say global because I don't use LDAP or anything, so it's a lot of local accounts. I probably should use LDAP for this. PC Geek tells me all the time I should probably use LDAP, but I haven't gone down that path yet. But no, so I have a operations account that I tie to Ansible stuff, and that account is able to do that on those servers. The other nice thing is I even have an Ansible playbook to reset that password too. Basically, I'm trying to build some kind of centralized, a decentralized authentication, but it's not decentralized at all. It's all from my machine and in a playbook. But I can reset the password anywhere, anytime with a playbook too for any account on all of those servers. But yeah, good question. I don't mean to be super vague, but I don't know how to better explain it. It's an operation account, and it's not root. How about that? That freak, currently swapping the keyboard palm rest on my Inspiron 5570. Nice, yeah. Keyboard palm rest. I kind of understand what you're talking about, because, yeah, awesome. Well, hopefully it goes well. I'm assuming that's laptop, I assume. I've been hit or miss opening up laptops. either crush something I don't want to crush, I end up with an extra screw, or something doesn't fit back right. So good luck for sure. Coke Le Grande, love your YouTube content. Thank you. I'm just trying. I'm just still trying to figure it all out. It still feels new to me. I've been doing it for 1 year now, but it still feels new because every single time I have to adjust and learn and keep people engaged in that stuff. So I still feel really new. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Brislop, hello. How's it going? The freak, smile. Yeah. Cyber Sandwich, like a separate Ansible user account that's separate from your user account. Yes. I think I explained that in a lot more words than that. But yeah, absolutely. It is a different account that's different from my user account. Yeah, it's just, operations, just ops admin. I'll call it that, even though it's not. But just think, if you had a different account, ops admin account or operational account, it would be that. If you did I've trained you say, yeah, dude, thank you guys so much. Thank you. Monkoys, looking to jump to a different Linux bistro. Oh, all right, bistro. I know you meant distro. I get that itch every now and then. And I end up going back to Ubuntu. Boo, I know, boring Ubuntu, but it's so compatible and so stable for me. But I get that itch every now and then, and I'm just like, I got to try a new Linux distro. I think once you get that bug, and you go and do it, and then you get out of your system, you're like, yeah, I'm good for 6 months. I don't need to do that again, because it ends up being so much work. Or you end up finding like one thing you don't like, and you're like, okay, this distro did it better, or one thing you do like that you wish this distro did, and it's don't get me wrong, it's super fun, especially if you have a separate machine or a virtual machine to just try out different versions of Linux on. It's so fun. But at the end of the day, then you're like, okay, I can still do everything I wanted to do before on this other distro. Why did I do all that again? I don't know. That's how I feel. But it's super fun. I go back out and I go to DistroWatch and I look at new distributions, and I just kind of, for me, it's like window shopping when I go to distrowatch.org. I'm like, yeah, I like that one. Okay, they're up this month, I lurk on all distros there. And I'm always interested in in like distributions that are network firewalls. I always have been. For some reason I always have. And you know, your pfSense, your Untangles, your mono wall, smooth walls, all of those I've always been super interested in, because it just blew my mind once I realized that, like, hey, I could basically build a router from an operating system with this, you know, x86 hardware. It totally blew my mind, which totally makes sense. It's all it is in these embedded machines anyways. Some small version of Linux most of the time. But, you know, way back then, it just blew my mind. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Techno ordered one on Amazon for 26. That was a bit bigger. All right, that one we saw in Discord. So you're talking about your coin op, your coin acceptor. I don't know what it's called, but for your arcade box that you're building, or your cabinet is, I think, what most of people call them. But when it arrived, it was the same one that was in Holland Computer, so I'm returning the one I bought for the same for $10 less on eBay. Oh man. Hey, Reese Tech, dude, thanks for the sub. 4 months, 2 month streak, dude. Thank you so much. Try Fedora full time. Pick a desktop environment you like and use Fedora as the base. They are shipping the latest innovations. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I should. I hear so many good things about it. Dude, Reese Tech, how are you, man? Or just Reese, I think he said to call you before. Thank you, man. Yeah, good tip on Fedora for sure. I should. Or anyone listening should give it a good look. But Takano, I'm sorry we led you down that path. We were all, I think in Discord, we were all like, yeah, go for the Amazon one, because, you know, whatever. It was bigger and better return policy, and they ended up shipping the same one you could have got elsewhere. So sorry if we led you astray. Ta Rusty Turtle. Stream isn't loading for me, but I saw a hype and gonna join in. Thank you. Can't even see the stream. Join the hype train. I appreciate it. PC Geek, new subs, and make sure your Twitch is tied to your Discord. Yeah, thank you. So you get a roll on Discord. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. SFF Junkie. I'm gonna go with small form factor Junkie. That's what I'm gonna go with. Thanks for the gifted sub. Much appreciated. Yeah, dude. Thank you, P Diddy. I gotta watch out on the dude. I say dude a lot. Lude's gonna call me out. Takano, the one from Amazon is also lower quality. Oh, we totally led you astray. I'm sorry. Tux 182. Is that like a Blink 182, but a Tux? I like it. I'll go with it. When creating VMs in Proxmox, you can use storage exclusively from a NAS, iSCSI, or does there always have to be some internal hard drive on the Proxmox server? Keep up the fantastic content. No, absolutely, you can do it. You can do iSCSI. It can be from a NAS. It can be from, I mean, you could probably do it on an NFS share. Probably wouldn't be great, but you want block storage. So if you could hack it in there, I would probably not do NFS. But iSCSI is the way to go. I mean, I think that's what most people do, because you want block storage. You want to be able to basically allocate or provision, a virtual hard drive to that machine with iSCSI. So you can absolutely do it. I have iSCSI set up on my TrueNAS server, and then you can add it to Proxmox. No problem. Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to have to make sure you have a fast Ethernet connection, gigabit probably, because you got to think like now you have a guest machine that's hard drive is over the network, and so you're adding some latency there. So you want to reduce that latency and at the same time open up that bandwidth, because if you have multiple machines, you'll end up saturating links. So yeah, you're gonna want a fat pipe. How about that? I didn't use iSCSI that way, but that's a pretty common pattern. I think a lot of people at ESXi do that as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nginx. I added a NAS drive on my Proxmox today. All right. Yes. All right. So network attached storage to your Proxmox. It's great. It's great. Once you do it, it's fantastic. You can schedule all your backups. I would highly recommend to do this if you haven't already, and you're running Proxmox and you have a NAS and you have some space. Schedule backups for all your VMs. Just do it right now. Take a pause or do it later on today. Just schedule backups for all your VMs. I do it, and I didn't for a long time because I'm like, I can restore most of the data. But then I started thinking like, how much time do I want to spend? And I was like, okay, well, I have an extra 5 terabytes on my NAS. Like, why not just back these things up until I can't anymore? So yeah, on Proxmox, I set up my backups. I tell it, I don't know, every single VM, which I have a lot of VMs, but I tell it to back up I only back up all my VMs, I think twice a week. I know that sounds crazy, but one, I don't want a super long retention on those backups, and 2, I don't want to take up a lot of space, so I shorten the amount of backups I can have. And 3, I think I'm on 3. The other reason is I have the critical data backed up already. So I have a DR plan, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so my backups aren't, super critical. They're more of a time savings play for me. So if I have to restore a VM from 2 days ago, totally fine. And because I have the DR data that I need to restore to that VM somewhere else backed up individually. Anyways, knick-knack, don't mean to, I'm totally happy you got NAS set up, and I don't mean to pile on and say, well, now do backups, but it's a good time to do backups. At least schedule them and let them happen overnight or on off-peak, or run a manual one now. Sounds awesome, though, and maybe you're already doing that. Tall ship, yeah, I've definitely got some reverse proxy issues to address with a deployment. Yeah, they're kind of tough to figure out. For me, the tough part to figure out is just the mental mapping. Okay, now my DNS entries are not really the machine that they're on. The DNS entries point to the reverse proxy. And why do they point to the reverse proxy? Is because when it gets that request, it will look at the, the host header or whatever the request was for, and then it will resolve DNS for you and then send it to that machine. So yeah, it's, when you end up doing a lot of them, I mean, I probably sent up, I have 14, 15 endpoints internally here in my house on the trusted side. I kind of lose it. And that's another reason why I ended up using aliases for that too. Cause I'm like, okay, just create another alias, copy and paste all this with a different host name. But yeah, and then you pin them all to your reverse proxy and it works great. Let's see, GeekRand, what service are you using for a cloud backup? What do I use? I used to use CrashPlan. the greatest backup service you use is the one you don't have to think about. And I think that's true for a lot of things. Most of the things you don't have to think about, as long as they're still working, are fantastic. So for me, Backblaze has been that for me. It's something that works. I check on it every 3 or 4 days because I get nervous and, I don't, I has a client and I could probably set up some kind of alerting if it didn't run the job in so many days. I know that on the Backblaze side, they have a way to do it. If it's, I don't know, a week or something like that, I still check mine every couple of days. But I use Backblaze. It's unlimited for home. And if you can find a way to get it to them, they'll back it up. And they have a client to do it too. On Windows, they have a different price model for Linux versus Windows, mainly because they know the people on Linux are going to immediately try to get it installed on their NAS. So they have a different price model, I guess, for Linux versus Windows, which is kind of weird, but it makes sense to me since I've been using it. Anyways, long story short, I use Backblaze. It's fantastic. I've never had any problems with it, and I've been able to restore and recover files over the last couple of years, ones that I've accidentally just deleted out of my docs. I don't have shadow copies turned on in my NAS. I probably should. But, I accidentally deleted a doc. I know, I can go to the cloud and restore it. But, restoring, 5-6 terabytes of data would be kind of painful. But anyways, that's what I use. It's super solid. I've had zero problems with it. Used CrashPlan before that. I loved CrashPlan. For many reasons. One, because they were local. They were here in Minneapolis. And I have some friends that still work at Code 42. And they had just a really good, I guess, policy or idea about backups. They had this thing called friend backup where you and your friend could use their client to back up to each other, obviously encrypted over the wire and then encrypted on the device. But that was fantastic because if I knew someone who had an extra 20 gigs, well, I always had an extra 20 gigs, so I would pitch it to someone else and I'd say, hey, want to trade storage space? You can back up 20 gigs to me, I'll back up 20 gigs to you. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. And I would love to do that now. I wish someone would come out with that. Please come out with that feature, something open source to do that, because that would be fantastic. Because I would say, you got an extra 4 terabytes over there? Okay, I have an extra 4 terabytes. Let's back up to each other. Just make sure, you guys agree on an SLA. But yeah, it's all encrypted over the wire and then encrypted on disk, and you hold the key, so there's no way that they could get any data out of there unless they had your key. But anyways, super fantastic. Long story short, I use Backblaze. It's great. In the Rock, just finished up with your things to do with VMs video. Nice. Wanted to say you have a really high production quality. Thank you. This living space in the background is tight. Thank you. Oh, tight. I like it. I like it. We used to say tight a lot when I was younger. Well, thank you. That was one of my first videos. I was super nervous. Is not the real me. Well, it was the real me. It was the real nervous me. But I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. I tried to do something a little bit different back there. And honestly, the main reason why that couch is back there, no one sits on it. Every now and then my wife will when she wants to talk to me, or the dogs will hop up on there. The main reason why that couch is back there is to stop echoes. Because this room had so many echoes when I first started recording. I'm like, how can I stop it? And everyone's like, furniture and all this stuff. I'm like, okay. So I used to have a futon back there that wasn't good enough. And so, yeah, I got this cheap couch and it's worked out pretty good since. And it fit perfect in there. So anyways, long story short, thank you. PC Geek, you can store VMs wherever you want. Just make sure your storage is online when you start them up. Obviously, local storage would be the fastest, but network storage is possible. Heck yeah, man. eBay chap disk till you can't get AQ better, a better one. Yeah, I totally agree. I should. You know, and yeah, I know what you're saying for my cold spare, or even possibly a hot spare for my NAS. I totally should. I'm not going to, but I totally should. I won't go into there. I feel like I need therapy when it comes to talking about my array, because I mean, one, it runs fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Like I love the hardware, love the software. But every now and then I just, you know, I get errors, and then I start to worry, like, okay, did I choose the right disk size? Did I choose the right disk vendor? Like I start to get really weird about my choices. So, but yeah, I should pick up a spare for sure. I would use iSCSI, yeah, for sure. If it had that, if I had to do that, yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you. Tall Ship. I've got an existing server and Nginx, several services, some just server block virtual host. Some just server block virtual host websites, and also some reverse proxy stuff. Nice, dude. It sounds like you got a nice little self-hosted home lab there. Sounds a lot like my infrastructure. A lot of different things going on. You know, some of it's for my home, some of it's for public services that I do, some of it's just for fun, like that back there. You know, I wrote a whole entire Node and Express API to do that. I'm pointing to my display. But yeah, I love it. I wrote a service the other day to toggle that thing now on and off, because every now and then that Raspberry Pi right there freezes. But I don't notice for a day or two. I'm like, I haven't seen a notification back there. And like, I guess people just aren't subscribing or whatever. And then I'm like, wait, I have timed messages on there too. Then I realized my Raspberry Pi is hard locked. So what do you do in that situation? You do what any normal person does. You get a Wemo device, you figure out, you reverse engineer their API, you write some code to power off that Wemo plug. When that API doesn't respond, you wait 60 seconds, and then you do it all over again. And so that's what I did. I spent, I don't know, it was fun. I mean, you know, over the last couple of nights, I probably spent, I don't know, an hour total doing it. But yeah, it's super fun, especially if you can write some code, or even if not, just borrow someone's code and spin up some stuff and host it. It's super fun. It's so flexible, all the things you can do. If you ever pick up a programming language, you realize real quick, like, wow, this is super fun. And it unlocks a lot of doors for you. It did for me. I went from choosing products to writing products, software products. And that's where I was just like, okay, this is super powerful now. You know, before, if I didn't know how to power on that Wemo, right away I would have went to if this and that, or Node-RED or something else. But since I understood kind of how it worked, but not the code to write, I was just like, okay, I'll just invest a little bit of time and a little bit of code. And, you know, an hour and a half later, it was running in my Kubernetes cluster and just monitoring that Pi LED display. And if it doesn't respond, it's going to power off the smart switch that's plugged onto it for 60 seconds and then turn it back on. And it's going to just loop and do that all the time. But yeah, super fun stuff. I'll release the code sometime if anyone's interested, but it's ugly. It's ugly code because you have to, because of Wemo, because they use SOAP. Like, who uses that anymore? Probably a lot of people, actually. Anyways, Takano, 11K channel points. Yeah, man. Hoard them until I build my gigantic display. Whenever that is. Bad Gamerani. Bad Gamernal. Bad Gamer. Bad Gamer. There we go. NL. I noticed a lot of people from the Netherlands put NL at the end, and I won't pronounce it anymore. I noticed that earlier today. I finally figured that out. I'm like, okay, then they're just putting their country code at the end because the first name was taken. Bad Gamer, hey, how's it going? Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Scurvy Dan, Tim, you inspired me to upgrade my home to a UDM Pro. I'm sorry, no, I bet a lot of people would say that. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of UDM Pro. I hope it works out for you. Like for me, I couldn't have asked for a better device. Of course, I can nitpick and talk about a few things that I don't like. But as far as simplifying my life and even my network, like I couldn't ask for a better ecosystem right now. And I'll say that, an ecosystem, because that's what I was going for. Because I've pieced things together for a long time, and while it worked, it was hard for me to maintain. I was spending a lot of time doing it. But anyways, I hope you enjoy it. Tall Ship. I really want to make installs easier with Nginx reverse proxy manager under, say, Portainer on Rancher, but I don't want to blow up anything I already have running. Yeah, I mean, Nginx reverse proxy manager is pretty simple to get running and get installed. You know, the tough part, so I've done it in Kubernetes before. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to need, storage on the back end, MySQL. That doesn't have to be in Kubernetes. I would almost say don't put your database in Kubernetes for something as important as that, because you might end up in like this inception moment where something from Kubernetes needs, database access, but that container hasn't spun up yet. I mean, that's pretty much the poster child for K3S. If you do that database, if you go with the MySQL database or external storage, like you can't put that inside of Kubernetes because Kubernetes needs it. That's not the case with Nginx Proxy Manager, but if you want to simplify it, keep your database where it is, and then just, spin up the Nginx Proxy Manager container within Kubernetes. But then you're going to have to get MetLLB involved. You're going to have to pull in some other things. So I totally, I can sympathize because I went through that. I would say if it's working and working well, maybe you leave well enough alone. I'm never that person. I'm just like, okay, how can I make it a little bit better, even if I need to, or how can I bend this thing to work the way I want it to? But if you have it running in Docker and Portainer already, well, you don't, and not in Portainer, you must have it running on a VM. Portainer is a good first step on plain old Docker. That's a good first step. And then you can decide from there. Because if you get it inside of Kubernetes, then you're going to have to figure out the, how do you do load balancing coming in? I talked about it earlier. It's MetLLB, but there's a lot more concepts that you'll have to grasp. Because that load balancer that comes in needs to know which pod it's going to. On Docker, you don't have that problem. Comes in, it's running on the node. It's running on that node or that server. So you don't have that problem because it'll do, port-based routing versus going through Kubernetes and an ingress and MetLLB probably. But yeah, if you need help with it, ping me in Discord. I can shoot you maybe some documentation or some ideas, bounce some ideas off me. Cyber Sandwich, my UDM Pro is IPS never find shit. Yeah, which is good, but kind of lame. Yeah, so my IPS works pretty good. Well, that I know of, right? I mean, I look at the logs, I see that. I mean, I have everything turned on, everything possible on my IPS, on my UDM Pro. I see lots of blocks. Maybe it's a firmware thing, or maybe you need to update your firmware. I'm sure if you have one, you check just like I do about every day or every other day because it's fun and because they've been releasing a lot lately. But my IPS, if I look at my logs, I see lots of things blocked in general. But the other case might be is that like people just aren't coming to your IP address and don't feel left out. That's a good thing. If you don't have strange bots hitting your IP address and trying to get into your network, that's actually good. And so I do, and it's all logged, and a lot of it gets blocked. And I think it's just because I use Cloudflare and I have services hosted here, and so they can see domain names and however bots work or figure out your domain, they can find a way back to your IP. And so yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if you don't see a lot of stuff getting blocked from IPS, unless you have some stuff turned off and it's just not working. That's a bad thing. But I wouldn't feel left out if all those bots and all those attacks that I see every day in my logs just stop happening. I might worry and investigate a little bit. But I don't think I would miss them because I'm always just like, please, I hope you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but then you can, if you do start self-hosting stuff internally, I would highly recommend using, maybe something like Cloudflare or some other company's reverse proxy to then be yet another, barrier for people. And so you force them to go through Cloudflare's reverse proxy, where they do a ton of bot detection. I mean, that's their bread and butter. That's how they get paid. I mean, they have lots of other products too, but a lot of companies sign up with Cloudflare to prevent bots and attacks and attacks, I guess. So that's always a good choice too. You just keep layering on this tech, and then at the end of the day, okay, if everything does get through and does get through your firewall, and it's supposed to, obviously, then you got to look at your reverse proxy or whatever that next layer is and say, is it up to date? Is it doing what it should be doing? And look at the logs every now and then. Most likely that's going to be Traefik for some people. It might be MetalLB for others. And then you look at the service logs. But yeah, it's it's kind of scary sometimes. It's kind of scary. And then if you are going to be self-hosting stuff, I say this a lot, but keep that network totally it's not 100. It's hard to keep it totally separate unless you have two IPs, right, from your ISP, but keep it as segmented as possible and have some kind of DMZ or some kind of other network that doesn't allow traffic over to your trusted network. Anyways, you guys know this stuff. PC Geek, no transcoding today. Oh man, it was a little rocky for me at the start, but it's working okay now. Ah, bummer. I could try their dynamic adjusting. I don't know. Yeah, bummer. Twitch must be pretty busy today. But because usually on weekends they just give it to me. It was weekdays where I was kind of like, I don't have transcoding today. But yeah, good to know. Good to know. Tall ship. I think I can use my existing Nginx daemon as a reverse proxy for Nginx Proxy Manager, but can't find any real cookbook on how-to info on how to do that. So yeah, you could. Yeah, well, I mean, that's tough. I mean, so Nginx Proxy Manager is Docker, right? I mean, last I looked at it, I thought it was Docker first. That one's going to be kind of tough because it's like all in one with their product, with Nginx Proxy Manager. Could you put reverse proxy in front of that too? Sure. But I don't know how much it would help. And then using your own, I don't know how you would slip it in between. You know what I mean? I don't know. I haven't looked at it enough. I'm sure anything's possible. But if you're going to go with Nginx Proxy Manager, just make that. I mean, it's a fantastic product for sure. Tellship, I'm in prod, so I don't want to break existing installs. Yeah, I hear you. I go through that every day. I have some code I need to adjust today for something, and I'm just like, I better get this in one shot because if not, things are going to be down. So I hear you. Odd West, has anyone run into an issue where Kubernetes pod can't reach a DNS entry even though though that pod's node can? Yeah, I think so. I think I have before. I can't remember what the fix is. Let me get a drink. I mean, I run into things like that, and it has to do with either core DNS. What I would do, just to kind of rule out other things, you can get to it on the node. I would try to exec into that pod, into that container itself, if it stays running. Hopefully it's not in a boot loop because it needs something. It might be. But exec into that pod with kube control, or if you're using Rancher, you can do it right from a couple of buttons. Same with Portainer, you can do it in the UI. And then from in there, when you're inside the container, try doing an NS lookup or a reverse lookup on some IP within there and see if you can. I bet the answer is still no, because you're saying, hey, you don't have DNS in there. I'm just spitballing some ideas of things you can maybe try to help isolate where the problem is, for sure. But Oddwise, dude, I hope you get it. Tall ship, Debian Buster. Debian Buster, by the way. Yeah, I know, for sure. Hans Bauer, second time, watch the show. Greetings from the Netherlands. Hey, how's it going? Hans Bauer, do you actually listen to Techno? Divine Techno. So that's a good question. I have before. So I really enjoy electronic music. That's where my name came from. Like in college, people at that time called every piece of electronic music techno, at least in my circle of where I went to school and people I knew. It was just a general term, like you would say rap for all versions of hip hop, and no matter what type of hip hop it was. And same with R&B, you would just say R&B. But then once you get into the genre, there are so many subgenres there. And so a lot of people I knew, and people at the time, called electronic music techno. And so they were like, yeah, anyways, as the story goes, yeah, I was, that's what they called me, because I always listened to it, and I listened to it loud. And it was really just electronic music, a lot of trance and EDM stuff and whatever, just anything that was new and kind of experimental. I was like, I've never heard anything like this before. So they were like, this you know, and there was very few people who listened to that kind of music where I was from. So anyways, so do I on a regular basis? I listen to all kinds of music. I have a couple playlists on Spotify, and they're just everything possible. But anyways, do I? Yeah, absolutely. I will sometimes. Going on too long about this, but yeah, to answer your question directly, yes, I do. But I'm more broad on just electronic music in general. Is that, I think yeah, electronic and hip hop. That's all I like to listen to recently. Nilabs, RE, power efficient discussion. All right. I like my super micro. Yeah, 200 8D. They seem to be fairly low power, not super quiet though. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm blown away on how efficient a lot of super micro stuff is. I think that's what they're going after too, is efficiency. At least a lot of the marketing is saying that too, that I've been seeing recently. But I'm impressed with my individual 1U servers, and how efficient they are. I'm just totally blown away, at how much they could do at such little power, and then how much, power savings is built into them too. Stefan 69er, any good Plex alternatives? MB and, what was the spinoff of MB? Yeah, there are a couple. I'm sure you guys are saying them now in chat, but yeah, the Jellyfin, there it is. Yeah, MB and Jellyfin are the ones I always hear that people say, and it's usually Jellyfin. Like, people, if they're not using Plex, they're using Jellyfin. I've spun it up before, but it's been a while. I ended up getting a lifetime Plex pass really cheap, like half off the OG price one time. And I was like, I got to do it. I got to do it. And so now I have it for life. So it's kind of like, well, I'm going to keep using it. But Jellyfin seems to be the crowd favorite. Nginx, I use Pi for a home automation system. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I totally agree. It's a great use for it. Jellyfin, there we go. Thank you. Jellyfin is great. Yeah. Alex Zam, what to learn after React? Oh, good question. So web dev question. What to learn after React? Well, if you're going to keep doing front end, Redux, 100%. Well, there's some competitor products to Redux now. But if you just learn React, and you need some kind of state management, and you want some kind of global state, Redux is huge and super popular. I know there are alternatives out there now, and I know newer versions of React also give you some, access to context, which is kind of like global state, but gives you access to more things you didn't have in the past. If you've just learned React, I would say you can't go wrong learning Redux next. And Redux is just an easy API for global state. And it gives you state throughout your web application, and it gives you a decently nice API to invoke changes into state, and it helps you not mutate state. So it sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's really not. But yeah, I would go after that. That's exactly what I went after. After I learned React, I was like, okay, a lot of people bundle them together, React and Redux, because there wasn't a great way to maintain global state for an app. And so Redux, I think, helps solve that problem. There are other ways to do it too, but you can't go wrong. There's like a bajillion people using it. And even if there are all better alternatives out there now, I don't think it would be time wasted. P. Diddy, I like my plan right now. I think my plan right now is to do a white box server for heavy workloads, GPUs and Plex, and Pi cluster for lighter workloads is my working plan right now. I hear you. I've been trying to figure that out myself. How can I dedicate some of my heavy workloads to a box or two, and then all my light workloads to lower power devices like, a Pi, or even my old Intel NUC, which I actually spun back up. It was on my workbench for years, and I had nothing to do with it. I mean, it had Windows 10 on it just for some testing stuff, but it's actually my third Proxmox node now. Is my old Intel NUC, because I'm doing a little bit of testing, but I'm right there with you. I'm like, okay, how can I get now Kubernetes nodes running on this Intel NUC, which I do, and then how can I get some of my lighter workloads to run just on that, so that I can maybe someday, if I want, shut down one of my servers and have that for whatever, for something else if I wanted, or keep it there. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Apologize. So close to sneezing, but I didn't. But I want to. You know that feeling. Stefan, 69er. Sounds good. I'll check that out. Jellyfin. Yeah, for sure. Hausbauer, I'm off to bed now. Much love to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for stopping in. Let's see. Thanks for the gifted sub. Yeah, thank you so much, P. Diddy. P. Diddy, I'm getting a bit annoyed with my 730 XD, how low it is, especially when looking at a smaller place to live. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I went through that too. I still go through that too. I look at my disk shelf too, and I'm like, oh man, did I overbuy? Is it using too much power? I only have six disks in it when it can hold 24. Like, I do a lot of internal, I guess, reflection with my hardware choices too, especially over time. I mean, most of my stuff are not impulse buys. I've thought about it a ton, but and then newer tech comes out, and you're like, okay, did I make the right choice? I'm not sure. TBD on that. PC Geek, have you tried running scripts to adjust the fan speeds? Oh yeah, IPMI tool. Yeah, for sure. I think you posted that in Discord. Yeah, good call. No, that red is hard. I'm going with Ilpeztech. What do you think about Home Lab cluster with a thin client? Interesting. Don't know enough about it. It sounds awesome. So I mean, a thin client in general. I mean, you're talking about using terminal services or something to remote into another machine, right? So you have some virtual machines in your home lab or in your servers, and maybe those are clustered, maybe they're not, and you have those virtualized, and then you want to access stuff from a thin client. I would say do it if you can. That sounds really awesome. I mean, that's the dream. That's the dream, is that you have, something in your home or in your home lab, shared infrastructure, centralized, so you can have centralized backups, redundancy, redundant power, lots of RAM, and you have that all centralized, and then you can just access that infrastructure from dumb clients, right? Like a thin client. That's the dream. I would love to. Yeah, me personally, I can't right now. I think tech needs to evolve a little bit more for me, because I have. Like most people, I have a video card here that I game with or that I render videos with, and I need, this performance on this machine. And the only reason why I need performance on this machine is because I can't share that video card in my server. I could dedicate that video card specifically to that server, but I would love to be able to share it across many of those virtual clients. So we're not there yet, per se. I would love to. That's the dream. That's the dream for me, is that I could just have a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse right here. And I have some additional hardware. So let's just say an average user could just have a monitor here that's totally dumb, that could connect to shared infrastructure, connect to your home lab or shared services through a thin client, and keyboard and mouse could be Bluetooth to the monitor, and they're just totally dumb. Right away, they go to hit some IP, and it's remote desktop, or name your protocol for remote control. That would be fantastic. That'd be fantastic. You just power on the monitor. There's no additional hardware and cords and wires and big PC right here, and you can do your work. I would love it. I would love it. Are we there yet? Yeah, for sure. Monkois. I'm going Monkois. Knickknack, PC Geek, you may be unlucky and get the job. I had an interview this week and start Tuesday. Bummer, really. I totally what happens. Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. You just basically accept the job and then you got to start right away. You got to build that in. You can be like, yeah, I can start, but I need 2 weeks. Take that 2 weeks, that time in between. I guess that's another piece of advice. If you ever switch jobs, I know you're super excited to start the new job, and you want to show that you're excited by starting on Monday if you interview on Friday. But it's always good to just have like a mental break in between. A little bit of downtime and a little bit of reflection and a little bit of time to prepare for your next role. I can't recommend that enough. It doesn't have to be 2 weeks. It could be 2-3 days. It could be a whole week. But yeah, if you ever switch jobs, schedule a week off in between. Unless you're really hurting for the money, I would do it for sure. Just give yourself a little bit of break and, put bookends on the old one and then on the new one, and then a little bit of padding in between. Especially when I still have a job. Yeah. P. Diddy, PC Geek. Yeah, I have it. 40% right now seems to be everything at reasonable temps. Nice. Yeah. He's mentioned that a few times in Discord, about adjusting your fan speeds for sure. Impact. I just bought 5 8TB drives with 2 512 gigabyte NVMe's, trying to configure TrueNAS. Nice. So 5 8TB drives with 2 512 gig NVMe's. Awesome. That sounds like quite the NAS. Knick-knack. I went in for a bit of fun, ended up with it. You'll be okay. Good luck. Yeah, for sure. Included Noah. How's it going? How are you? P. Diddy. I have to use it since it defaults to 100% fan due to having a third-party card. Oh, bummer. Night Labs, Ansible discussion. Love Ansible. My hope is not to need too much. The goal is to get all my servers into K8s or Kubernetes with the inventory on GitHub or something. Yeah, I totally agree. For sure. Spanx, hey, first time here. Any advice to verify my home lab security? Nice content. Ooh, yeah. Whew. That's a tough question. It depends on what you're running there. It depends on what you're running there. I don't have anything right off the bat. Like, I have ways that I can verify security in Kubernetes. Like, Rancher comes with a CIS benchmark scanning where you can scan your Kubernetes cluster and then see how it rates according to, they have a couple of templates you can use, and you can scan your Kubernetes cluster and see how it rates compared to these different security benchmarks. The rest of it, it's kind of Wild West on how you would verify it. I mean, there are things like port scanning. You could port scan your own stuff and verify that ports are either open or not open. You can set up honeypots in your own network. What are honeypots? They're just like little, endpoints that if someone tries to port scan, you'll log and get an alert, or you'll kind of fake that something exists, and you'll hopefully attract hackers or whatever's going on to this honeypot so that they'll continue to try to hack at this thing that's not really a service, so that you get alerts so that you know to block them. It spans the gamut. It spans the gamut from everything from the network, from the edge, all the way down to the clients, and operating system patches and antivirus security if you're running Windows or maybe even Linux or who knows, Mac. It spans the gamut. So there's no one solution. It's going to be a multi-honed, multi-layered approach to it. Maybe I put something together sometime. I'd have to really think it through. I mean, I have a good handle on Kubernetes stuff and how to at least benchmark it and how to triage some of that. Good handle on how to do that for containerization of code, and even for those containers, and how to scan for vulnerabilities. But a holistic approach is just that. It's holistic. So there's no one piece that's more important than the other. There are things you can do to help prevent that probably give you the best bang for your buck if you're going to spend time on it. But I'd have to put something together. That's a fantastic question. It's not something I can answer off the cuff, because I'm sure I might lead you astray. But no, this is great. Great. I mean, but think about everything I just said and then apply that everywhere. And then think about all the things I didn't say and apply those everywhere. No, this is great. This is a great idea for content. I'll see if I can pull something together sometime. That is a great question. Pizza Geek, it was the music booming. It was good. Meant it had good bass. Oh, I thought it was meant my music. Yeah, my intro music does have some decent bass. I only realized when I had my headphones in and it's loud because I try to keep the intro music as loud as I'm going to talk, so people aren't like, whoa, why are you yelling? They'll kind of adjust according to that. But yeah, Knickknack. Ilude checks out Flux CD or Argo CD. Nice. I know Argo. I haven't looked into Flux. Yeah, awesome. Knickknack. I have Roland DM20 monitors on mine. The sound is good. All right. Matt Water, you've been great. You've been a great way, I assume, to get exposed to new technology. Quick, no fuzz, enthusiastic intro. Docker pulls, Ansible, AWX. Yeah, I've seen that. Well, first of all, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been, tailoring my content even more so recently to just deliver information faster. I realize that people don't have a lot of time, and for me, that equates to people bailing. So I just try to deliver information, not rushed, but as quickly as I can, with very little fluff. My sense of humor is weird. I don't really have one. I laugh at stuff, but I'm not funny. See, like that, and like that. But yeah, so I have seen the AWX Ansible pod out there, or what am I talking about? Pod. It's an image, a Docker image. They don't have a lot of great documentation on it. So it's, it's very sparse, but I have seen it out there. There's a laundry list of requirements. I just haven't gone through it yet. I need to, and I need to. It just hasn't been a priority for me. But yeah, totally aware of that Docker container. But I mean, if you go there, you're going to see the documentation's kind of like, well, what? On their GitHub README, it's like nothing other than saying like, hey, this is what Tower pulls from. And you're kind of like, okay, what do I do with this? And so you got to kind of dig into that. I think it's Red Hat's documentation on it too. But yeah, it's all there. And maybe that's kind of what I do is, take a whole bunch of information and put it in a digestible format. I think there's a calling there for me for AWX. 100% it's in my backlog. I just need to get to it. Knickknack, I have twin Xeon servers and they're too loud to use. Yeah, servers can get loud. Yeah, for sure. I spent last night updating projects compose packages. That was a chore, included null. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they can be. Home Lab New. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Home Lab New? How you doing? Only one more exam for me, and that's the end. Oh, man. Then it's real world. Awesome, man. Congratulations. It's crazy to think about your conversation of university over the last 6, 7 months, 9 months, and just hearing you progress. It's super fantastic. So congratulations. Early congratulations for you. One more exam. You got this. Included null. I should be creating a React site for myself today. Nice, but I had a long week at work coding, so I just want to chill this weekend. I hear you, included null. I'm not. I kind of I don't know. I'm a little bit of the opposite. Like I have this coding project in my head that I've been trying to solve before I write, which is probably a good thing to do. At least know you can solve the problem before you write the code. But sometimes it's fun to explore things as you're writing code. But I'm kind of the opposite because I write code all day at work. But they're different problems, and so the problems that I want to solve are way different. And so I'm excited to solve this problem. I think I'm going to either tonight or tomorrow morning. We'll see. But yeah, dude, take a break. It's easy to get burned out, especially from coding. It can burn you out. I mean, it's the most intense staring you can do at a screen, I think, possible. Because you're just like this. At least me, I probably have this like face like this the whole time, and I'm just like typing away and debugging, and then 4 hours later I'm like, oh, I'm kind of tense. I wonder why. Yeah, it's intense. Impact, yeah, they say they don't make your hobby your job, but I do, and I love it. Yeah, Impact, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I guess I just explained it in my last comment. But yeah, but it kind of goes both ways. It's like I feel like I'm either working all the time or playing all the time, but it's good. It's good. When things go right, I feel like I'm just playing. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I get paid to do this. When things go wrong, I'm like, oh, I am not coding tonight when I get home, unless I want to. But yeah, I hear you. Linux or Windows as a daily basis? Robrew, both. I mean, my daily driver, well, I'll throw in Mac in there. Here's what my day looks like operating system wise. People ask me this a lot. From morning until evening, it's Mac OS. From evening until late evening, morning, it's Windows. But I'm in WSL all the time, kind of Linux, Linux on Windows. And then all of my servers are Linux except for 2 are Windows. And so I use them all. I use them all. So, but to answer the question directly, it's Mac OS all day, Windows all night. But then Windows doesn't really mean just Windows anymore. With WSL and Ubuntu running on top of Windows. Yeah, and I'm just in a terminal in VS Code most of the time, anyways. In a browser, it may as well be. I know it's not, but I'm in a Linux shell. It's usually on this machine, split 10 different ways. And then all my servers are Linux. So I'm all over the place, but I kind of have to be. Spanx, thanks a lot, man. Hey, no problem. Enjoy. Hitting 3 digits here in AZ. Oh, geez, man. Way hot. That's way high. I'm not ready for that. I'm not even ready for 70s. I'm like, let's stay around 50s, 60s for a while because it's spring and the in-between seasons here in Minnesota are too short. It goes from winter to summer. I kind of like me some fall and spring, actually quite a bit. Let's see. Join Discord. Thank you. Ad Raymer. Sorry, it's hard for me to read just because the contrast. Is it worth switching from Nginx Proxy Manager to Traefik? I don't think so. I don't think so. It depends on what you want. So I've used Nginx Proxy Manager. I've tried to use it 2 times. I convinced myself that I can use it, and I always forget about 2 things. And so if these are 2 things you care about, then maybe it might be worth it. One, wildcard certificates. There's no easy way to get wildcard certificates. Or it's not possible unless you hack it with Nginx Proxy Manager. So I was like, I've spun it up twice, and I remember I'm like, oh yeah, they don't support wildcards. So for me, that was a no-go. On the 3rd time I did it, I was like, oh yeah, this is why I didn't grab it the first time. The other one has to do with using that Nginx as a load balancer, which is probably moot because I don't even use my Traefik right now as a TCP or UDP load balancer, kind of moot. But when I was sharing stuff together for a while, I was doing plain Nginx, and I thought, well, I could use Nginx Proxy Manager and use a stream module, and I couldn't get it to work. And maybe it does, but it's super fine product. It's great UI, great logging, easy way to get certificates. But for me, I have, I need a wildcard because I don't want to make 15 requests all when they expire or getting close to expire all in a row. And so for me, I need wildcards. Is it worth switching? Not unless you need those things, because it's a fine product. Hey, Tall Ship, subscribe, tier 1, or Prime sub. Dude, thank you so much. Thanks for spending your Prime sub on me. I really appreciate it, Tall Ship. Thank you. So Ad Ramming, that's what I'm going with. It's totally up to you. If you need those couple of things, it's worth a shot. If you need those couple of things, I think it's one of the best things out there that's not Nginx Proxy Manager. How about that? That's what I'm going with. Homeland new, yeah, we'll do that. You guys are nice. I'm impressed. Spanx, yeah, I totally agree. Everyone in this channel and in Discord is super, super duper nice. Nylabs, load balancers, love Metal LB plus Nginx Ingress. I have 2 Ingress controllers, internal and external. I do too. I do too. So Nylabs, dude, one real quick, dude, pretzel sticks. I want to say pretzel sticks or pretzel Texas. I like pretzel sticks. I'll go with that. Dude, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Thanks for spending your Prime sub on me. Really appreciate it. Thank you. But Nylabs, I do the same thing, and I didn't go that far. But I do. So I run 2 versions of Traefik, and one of my versions of Traefik that's actually in Kubernetes then has an internal and external. I have 2 instances of Traefik running in Kubernetes, and that's again to segment Traefik. It's so that I have an internal load balancer in Kubernetes that's running Traefik, and then my external load balancer that's running in Kubernetes too with Traefik. And 2 Metal LB IPs exposed, 1 on each. So I know, okay, this is incoming request from the internet, and this internal one is incoming request from an internal source, do the same thing. So technically, I have 3 versions of Traefik running. It sounds crazy, but it's working because there's some services still in Kubernetes I need to access from within my other networks. But yeah, it gets kind of complicated real quick with all the YAML you have to write and keeping everything separate. Vermium Zyfel, hey man, long time no see, dude. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Nilabs, ingress controller in Kate's plus surrogate services in Kate's from a non-Kate's web services seem to work well. Yeah, it sounds super awesome. Sounds very similar to what I have going on. Hash Warden, hey, just getting into Home Lab recently. Had a question. I am assuming you have your SDD, my solid state, as a mirror in Proxmox, which handles the storage. Then you are virtualizing TrueNAS, in Proxmox, and just passing through a JBOD array to TrueNAS for ZFS storage. Yeah, you got it. I was wondering how you are backing your TrueNAS Proxmox. Are you backing up an image in Proxmox and then restoring in TrueNAS, or will you back up TrueNAS separately? I was wondering how you are backing up your... Yeah, this one's tough. Funny you say that, because last week when I was having the disk problems, I thought, I'm going to take a snapshot real quick. Like, yeah, I haven't taken a snapshot in a while. I go to take it, and then I realize that, I just created Inception right now because I'm backing up my... Don't do this. This is what you run into if you virtualize it. You know, I added an NFS share from TrueNAS that's virtualized to Proxmox. And I forget about this. Once every 6 months, I totally forget. I'm just like, yeah, it's my NFS share. Why wouldn't I back up my TrueNAS to it? And I hit back up, and then the world explodes because I'm like, oh, I just totally shut down my TrueNAS, which was the NFS share that's Proxmox is using, but it's virtualized, and now I'm just like in this weird loop. So the way that I do it, I just export the configs. I just export the configs that I need on a semi-regular basis. I don't need, I don't make a ton of changes to my TrueNAS. Like it's solid. I run, NFS, SMB, and MinIO, so object storage. I run those, and iSCSI. Those are the 4 storage services that I run there. And other than that, I haven't touched it. And and so I back up my config every so often. I know that I could restore that config on a machine and then import my ZFS pool pretty easily using that config. And so I'm just kind of like, I don't take snapshots of it. If I were able to, I totally would. But like I said, I'm creating Inception because it's virtualized and because Proxmox is using the NFS share from TrueNAS, which is virtualized. I create Inception, so I can't back up to itself. But I don't back up the OS. I just export the config. That's it. I should probably do a better job, but I'm putting a lot of eggs in that basket and just saying like, well, if it dies, I'm hopefully this config that I have that I've never tested, that when I export the config, it'll restore. And I mean, it should. I don't think TrueNAS would really release a feature like that if it didn't work. But well, only time will tell. Canister Copel. Good day. How are you? Or Copel or Copel? I'm going to go with Copel. Hash Warden. If you're backing up Proxmox and TrueNAS separately, how are you doing that? If I'm backing up Proxmox and TrueNAS separately, I'm not. I'm not. So I think I kind of explained it. But yeah, TrueNAS, I just export the config. Like I said, rarely make changes to it. My pool should be there. Should be able to import it with that config. Reese, how's it going? Hello. Try Fedora. Yeah, Fedora. A lot of Fedora fans. All right, I like it. They ship features. Yeah. They just switched to a new audio server, Pipewire, which has extremely low latency. Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Included null. Speaking of Ubuntu Desktop, does anyone experience the system slowing down and missing keystrokes sometimes when it's been on for a few days? Sounds like my keyboard right now, regardless. Yeah, I haven't included null. I haven't. I have a problem with my own keyboard right now where 2 or 3 of the keys right now don't fire 1 out of 10 times, and it drives me crazy. So it's almost new keyboard time for me. I don't have it. No. I would say something with USB or USB getting suspended and going to sleep and then coming back in some weird mode. When it happens next time, out of curiosity, just to try something. When it happens next time, just unplug that USB keyboard, plug it into a different port, and see if it fixes it. Because then if it does, it might be something with sleep or USB power when it comes out of suspend mode. Not sure. Just spitballing. Try Fedora full time. Pick a desktop environment. You like Fedora as the base. They're shipping. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Did I miss anyone? Homeland New, you're asking a question. All right, Telship. I really want to make installs easier with Nginx Reverse Proxy Manager under, say, Portainer, Rancher, but I don't want to blow up. I think I read that one. It's the same one. Yeah, I think I read that one, but yeah, yeah. Anyways, but I mentioned those couple of things, and then one of the other reasons why, I ended up choosing Portainer, too, again this time, even if it were to support, even if Nginx Proxy Manager did support wildcard certificates and did support the stream module, which I don't need, so I probably shouldn't mention it. Is just that it's YAML, and like it or love it, I can restore my Traefik config by just applying a YAML file, whereas Nginx Proxy Manager, you have a different backup mechanism for it. It's still a Docker container, so you're going to have to back up that volume that it's mounted to, but and then it's a database, so you're going to have to back up your database, which if you already have a database, that's probably moot because you're backing that up anyways. But I just wanted an easy way to, Docker compose up or whatever with some kind of manifest and have it running again exactly the way it was before and not have to mess with anything. Reese, I'm good. I just got CD working with my Discord bot. Nice. Commit and builds and testing images to Watchtower. That Watchtower pulls down. No, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I like it. So you're using Watchtower to basically monitor your Docker repo or your Docker image repository or repo to pull it down. I like it because that didn't, well, it might have existed, but I didn't know about it way back in the day. And so I was like, well, how do I do this with Kubernetes? And I had to figure out all the kube control stuff. So you totally just, you circumvent all the crazy complexity that I have to do with kube control. And you just say, hey, Watchtower, pull this, repo. If there's an update, pull the image. Yeah, I love it. And when I make a GitHub release, it builds the stable image. Nice. Yeah, nice. I love it. Kind of crazy that it's coming up on a year since I found your channel, Home Lab New. Yeah, it is. It is crazy. It is crazy that it's been a year. This all still feels new to me. And like I said, I try to switch things up. I try to change things. So it always feels a little bit new, but it still feels really new. I will say, though, I'm a little more comfortable now doing it than I was before. My early videos, stiff as a board, talking like a robot. And so I still haven't figured it out, but I'm getting there. But I appreciate it, you guys sticking around for that long. Autograph 2020, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. How are you doing? Welcome. Reese. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Reese. What happened to you giving tutorials on cool self-hosting services like WireGuard? What happened to you giving cool tutorials? I thought I was still giving cool tutorials, man. No, Reese. I'm just mixing it up. I got to mix it up. There are tons of things to still self-host, and they're in my backlog. But there are other new topics which I wanted to cover. Like I wanted to cover K3S. I wanted to cover Traefik. You could arguably say those are still self-hosted options, right? How do you self-host a reverse proxy? Traefik is a service just like WireGuard or Guacamole is. It just provides it's a different product that provides a different service. And so I'm just working my way around. Every week I'm just, I have a backlog and then I have things I need to do. And so if I can teach or make a video about things I need to do, that's a win-win for me because it means, okay, here's the thing I had to do, create a tutorial about it at the same time, and boom, 2 for 1. But then if there's things in my backlog that I think are super interesting that I want to kind of explore, it adds a lot of time and it pushes my video out more because it's like, okay, I got to learn it. I got to kind of understand it. I have to implement it. I have to make sure it works. And then I got to go spin up a test environment and do that same thing again. So, yeah, they're coming. There's so many self-hosted. There's so many services you can self-host. I just been, I guess, covering a little more, infrastructure services stuff lately, only because it's super fun. It's super fun. But yeah, I can throw some out at me. throw some out at me. I'll tell you if they're on my list. Or I'd love to do more. I'd love to do more. Like someone was just talking about AWX earlier. Yeah, absolutely on my list. I just haven't had time to do it. I probably will make it a priority here soon. Yeah, but then arguably, you know, that again is some other self-hosted service within your, you know, infrastructure, and it's more on the infrastructure side than kind of on the consumery type side, like something like Plex or something like that. But yeah, definitely there I have so many things on my backlog, not enough time. Tux, yes, it's a Blink reference on the name. Haha, yeah, nice. I got my NAS plumbed in over SFP Plus. Nice. Fattest of pipes. Yeah, it is. It is the fattest of pipes. That's a fat pipe for sure. HomeLab knew they get a whole lot fatter, but not a cent cheaper. Yeah. Oh man, they certainly do. They're not cheap. Even 10 gig stuff. I feel like there are so many. I'm going to call them dongles, but you know, there's so many attachments and things and specialized things that even 10 gig, it's kind of, you know, it can be cost prohibitive to a lot of people who are like, well, okay, now I need, you know, 10 gig NICs here, 10 gig NIC there, different types of attachments, and then a 10 gig switch. Even 10 gig alone, it gets kind of expensive. Birmingham Seifeld, yes. Now he's doing like tech review related stuff. Wait, tech review related stuff? No, I'm not. Tech review? I'm not doing any kind of tech review. No way. I'm still doing tutorials. I don't know. Maybe you guys should check out my channel lately. There's this thing called Traefik. There's this thing called K3S. Yeah, I'm not doing, no reviews. HomeLab New. Also, did you ever figure out isolating Kubernetes API server onto a public management network interface? Isolating the Kubernetes API server onto a specific management only network interface. No, I haven't had a need to. You know, my nodes only have one NIC, and that network interface lives on a specific VLAN that I just consider untrusted. So no, I haven't. None of my nodes have multiple NICs. Yeah, so that's all I got. Haven't done it yet. Updating Portainer and installing Guacamole. Less updating Portainer and installing Guacamole. Oh, dude, that was like from 2 months ago. Yeah, well, I have short ones in there. And I the very specific reason why they're in there. Tallship, sorry I posted twice. The second time was like 5 seconds before you addressed my question, and thanks for speaking to that. Yeah, no problem. Stefan, 69er, man, the Backblaze clients would absolutely destroy my read-write throughput. Yeah. It's it's pretty aggressive when it scans your files, but then I think it makes a hash of the files or the last scan, and so it's pretty smart about the next time it scans. But the first time I think it has to create hashes for all the files because they need to know the difference and whether or not to back something up again. You know, if the hash is different, yeah, it'll back it up. If it's not, it doesn't need to. Double post. Yeah, no worries. Monkeys, question. I got a junior DevOps offer that I accepted. I'm currently a support engineer with no DevOps experience other than administrating Linux servers at the past job. All right. I've expressed to the hiring manager that I'm probably underqualified for the position, but he liked my enthusiasm and he would like to give me a chance, which I couldn't be happier. I will be starting a new position next month. What do you guys recommend to a newbie DevOps who's just starting out to succeed at this position? Let me grab a drink. I mean, this one's tough because every company does DevOps a little bit different. And I will say that a lot of it depends on their environment too. What products do they use? I mean, if you think about even just, I think people were talking about CI/CD here a little bit ago. I mean, you could think about all the different CI/CD pipeline tools that are out there. You know, you have GitLab, you have Drone, you have GitHub has workflows. You know, everyone has a little bit different. Some people have custom build servers that they use internally to build and ship code. So I mean, I would ask a little bit more questions about their environment too, and just kind of just try to absorb or read or become familiar, you know, with the types of tools that they're using, even their server environment too. You know, and if you think of something like Ansible, like some companies use it, some companies, you know, don't. I mean, it's really going to be environment specific. And it really depends on how close to the dev of the ops team, how close on the dev side you're going to be too. because DevOps is kind of turned into a generic role too, where it's kind of absorbed some kind of web management stuff. It's kind of absorbed some kind of just server management and operational type stuff, as well as, a whole entire CI/CD pipeline. So how do you get, this software product all the way out to your customers? So it's huge. It's a huge topic, and it's just become this, this generic title for a lot of things in between, of how you deliver value to your customers. So there's a lot. I mean, I don't even know where to begin without knowing more about your position. But if it is more on the, if you're going to be working on a product team with developers and you're not just like a shared pool of DevOps folks, learn, see what the developers are using. See what their CI/CD pipeline is using. I mean, are you going to be responsible for writing their integration tests and stuff like that? I don't think so. I don't think that's a good idea in general. It just depends. I mean, it's a huge topic. If I knew more about your environment, I guess I could give, better informed decisions. But I would definitely look into what they're using to build the code and what they're using to ship the code, and then what their code is running on. Those three places, you'll probably learn a ton. And I don't think you'll waste any time if you investigate those. What are they, just exactly that. Where is source code at? How does that code get built? And how does that code get deployed? And what does that code get deployed onto? And that could be, you mix and match. Could be, GitHub, drone, Kubernetes, or GitLab, GitLab, and then Docker Swarm. It just depends. And those are vastly different technologies. And that's why it's a hard question to answer, because it could be many different things. Included null. I use CrashPlan to back up my important files to my NAS. I also use SpiderOak 1 to back up all my desktop files and the desktop files to my NAS, and Duplicati 2. I also back up my MySQL dumps every day to Backblaze. All right. My desktop gets imaged by my NAS every day with Macrium Reflect. You can never have too many layers of backups. Yeah, there's a lot going on in there, It's awesome, and I love that you back up your your MySQL separately too. That's kind of like your disaster recovery is like, let's back up this whole entire database just in case, because I mean that's at the end of the day is what you need to restore this stuff on the database, and rather than backing up the whole entire virtual machine. Yeah, you can layer it anyways, and I have very similar things going on now too. Like I said, I only just recently started backing up my VMs, only because they're throwaway to me, because they run code that is somewhere else, and I have the configs and volumes backed up already, and I have the storage backed up too. So I've only just recently been doing it. I know it'll save me some time at some point or another. But I always go after the data. Where's the data at? What's the minimum amount of data I need to reproduce this thing? And then work backwards from there. As you can tell, all of my database, all my Docker volumes, all my Kubernetes volumes, S3 storage, that's always been backed up. But only recently I've just been like, I might take some snapshots of my virtual machines too, just to save me some time, so I can restore to yesterday instead of having to rebuild this machine, rejoin it to the cluster, and do everything. Save me some time for sure. Adam Meaton, that's what I'm going with. What are your thoughts about Terraform for managing infrastructure? I'm a full stack engineer at a small fintech company, and our DevOps guy has been writing documentation on our architecture setup, yet every change is done manually. Yeah, that one's kind of tough. So I don't have a ton of experience with Terraform. I get it. It's infrastructure as code. I mean, that's as simple as I can, state it. And it makes it repeatable. And it makes it, you source control your infrastructure, and then you could have a pipeline to deploy that infrastructure if it is all code, depending on how you have it set up. I mean, I think it's the pipe dream for everyone is to be able to do that. Some companies are further along than others. And sometimes that's a big investment, not only in knowledge, but for the company too, to say, I want this person to spend, however much time, weeks, months, converting over to Terraform or, basically source controlling all of our infrastructure and changing the way that we deploy stuff. I mean, some companies, I guess don't have the time or the taste to invest in that in general. But I think, like, if, optimistically, I think that's absolutely the way to go. Do I do it myself? No. No, I mean, here at home, I don't. But I think that's definitely the way to go. Anything you can do that's to make something repeatable, easier to manage, and anytime you can treat anything like code with a manifest and keep it somewhere in some kind of repository, and then be able to deploy that again, I think is a win. I think is a win for sure. It's optimistically I can say, yeah, absolutely they should be doing that. But then when I start to think about, okay, companies are under a lot of different constraints, and they have to focus their time on a lot of different things, and maybe that's just not a priority for them. But yeah, I think so. I think so. And if you're not using something like Kubernetes, which maybe you are, maybe you're not, has very little to do with Terraform. But once you start to containerize stuff, hopefully you'll start to, that idea of containerizing something and making it repeatable and deployable in any environment, I think then starts to trickle out everywhere else you go. And maybe it'll trickle its way back to infrastructure too. So, but idealistically, yeah, absolutely, you would want to. But I know that companies and managers and a lot of people are under a lot of pressure to do a lot of different things. So I wouldn't be too hard on them. But maybe they have a plan. Maybe they have a plan to do it. Maybe that's a next year thing. Hopefully it's on their radar if they want to continue to be able to move fast and reproduce stuff. Because that's I seem the only way that's going to happen. I loot. Okay, got to roll the weekend dinner with the fam. Yeah, dude, thank you so much. Yeah, speaking of time, I got to wrap it up too. I didn't realize what time it is. I'm going to look for specific mentions. Reese, used a Shelly plug instead. I will have a well-documented local API. All right. Takano, making people's wallets hurts since he gets them into home lab. I don't mean to. And that's why I don't spend a lot of my time on hardware. And it's not because I don't like hardware. One, I rarely buy it because I try to be frugal and I try to treat the things I buy like investments. And so, anyways, I try not to always recommend hardware because yeah. Anyways, I won't get into it. It's just tough for me to tell people to buy stuff when some people don't have the money to buy stuff. And anyways, so I do focus more on, hey, let's use what you have. Let's figure something out and make it work. That's how I've been my whole life. So, but yeah, hopefully I'm not making your wallets hurt because I rarely try to recommend hardware. I know in the beginning I had a lot of hardware, but that's because I was building stuff, and now I'm more maintaining and kind of looking towards the future. But I feel like I made smart purchases that are going to last me years, but only time will tell. Homeland new, but you're hosting public services. That's why you're seeing blocks. People are actually gunning for you. Yeah. I'm sure. And it's, I'm not saying it's people in here. It's just in general. If you have a DNS record that points somewhere, bots are going to find you for sure. Vermium Zyfel, do you use any reverse proxy, internal and external? Yeah, absolutely. I talked about that a little bit. I use Traefik everywhere. 3 versions of Traefik, 2 in Kubernetes and 1 in Docker. Techno Tim, you could use Thunderbolt and have a computer in another room. Yeah, good point. I need a long cable. Yeah, I might be able to. I'd have to figure it all out. I'm looking at my Stream Deck and my Go XLR and keyboard and mouse. I could do that. Yeah, I think I could. Why isn't wireless USB ever a thing? Why isn't that ever a thing? I know we have Bluetooth, but I would just love a USB dongle. That's just give me wireless, because then I could do that a lot easier. Fermion Seifel, I'm really good. How are you? I'm good. Haha, wrong word. I meant comparisons. Rancher versus Portainer multi-arch. Well, my my multi-arch was a tutorial too, disguised as something else. That was actually a tutorial. That was how do I add a Raspberry Pi to my K3S cluster. So you didn't recognize it was a tutorial. I think what I'm doing is working. Anyways, hey guys, thank you so much. Man, a lot of great conversation, a lot of awesome, yeah, just exchange of knowledge, a ton of new faces or new names, but a ton of recognizable names. So I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you stopping in. Sorry, I'm going to cut it a little bit short. I guess it's almost right on time. If you have more questions, if you question didn't get answered or you think of something later, you don't have to wait until next week to do it. You can absolutely join our Discord. We have a Discord full of, I think we just reached 4,000 members, so it's growing. I can't believe it. 4,000 people. Thank you so much, Mafni. Yes. There's a Discord link. I encourage you to join. You don't have to say anything. You can lurk. It's totally fine. But we talk about all kinds of stuff. Lots of tech chit-chat throughout the day, which is fantastic because every now and then you just, you kind of want to be able to, hang out with people who are interested in what you're interested in. So we have lots of channels. We have lots of people who are there. A lot of people are fantastic at answering lots of questions. And then, like I said, you don't even need to say anything. You just kind of hang out. But I would love it if you join. And if you have a question, you can absolutely ping me there. Ping me on Twitter. I will be back on Saturday, next Saturday, but I'll probably have something out for you before then. But yeah, until then, have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather wherever you're at. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the people who are mothers. I think it's coming up tomorrow. Happy Mother's Day. Tell your mom hello and happy Mother's Day. And if you're a mother, happy Mother's Day to you too. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend and be good to each other. Take care.